Hello and welcome back to the Casual Fanatic. I haven't said that in a minute. Honestly, I didn't plan this break. It's been over a month now without any videos, and it was kind of like it started off initially. I was very excited, to make these videos, and you really get into it. You get into the flow of it. You get into the making the videos, and I'm enjoying creating the content and doing the research for the games and really delving into the analysis. It's just I had the month of Ramadan where I was fasting, and just the sleep schedule is messed up, and day and night gets flipped, and it just kind of gets hard and difficult to stay on a schedule and keep the same routine that you had in place pre-Ramadan. And I still haven't felt like I've gotten back into a normal routine and into a normal schedule, but I want to make these videos. I want to see where we can take this. I'd love to hear feedback. We're still yet to get proper comments and stuff. I'm still holding out for that. I hope we can get that very soon. So from a video back, I was thinking like, should I just make a very short, simple video, just talk about why I haven't been making videos, and just a little bit of thoughts on what's been happening in football in the past month, right? And in general, there's been a lot of talking points. There's been some sad ones for me personally in terms of my team. There's also been some positive ones. The Premier League status, some of my predictions that I've been making, how the Champions League is coming to play, the Europa League, some of the other major leagues. So I'm just gonna talk like quickly, not a long video, on just each league, each competition, what's been happening, and then I'll start making the videos. I want to make a video on the Champions League and what I'm thinking about that. I want to make a video on the look out into the Premier League for the rest of the season. Not that I feel like a lot is going to change there, and maybe address like some of the other leagues in terms of what's been happening, some interesting players to watch out for, things along those lines, making some player profiles, and finally finishing off the series, Three Key Men. I really want to finish that series. I feel like I've enjoyed doing it the most out of any of the videos I've been making. It's entertaining. I have the thumbnails for it, and I just feel like I should finish off that series. And I feel like it's just a fun one that I can always look back on whenever and see my outlook into the team in future seasons. So if we're just taking a quick look here, I want to go have a look at all the league tables. Okay, I don't want to make any mistakes, so I'll pull up the league tables here. Okay, so first of all, if we start off with the Champions League. Actually, should we keep the Champions League for last? Let's keep the Champions League for last, right? In terms of the Serie A, the only interesting topic you have right now is the game that's going on right now, which is Milan-Roma. You have the Cup, which Inter just knocked out Juve, and that's going to be an interesting final. We'll see how that plans out. But Milan-Roma right now fighting for the top 4 spot. Juve got their points given back to them, but we'll see if that ends up sticking, because I'm not sure what's going on with that investigation, what that case is right now. But if they lose the points, obviously they're not making top 4, which frees up the spot for Roma and Milan both to make it, maybe even Inter to compete, because they're only 3 points behind and played a game less. If the score stays the same, Lazio have looked consistently comfortable enough over the season that they should be able to secure a top 4 place, and then obviously Napoli needs something like, I think, maximum of like 4 points to secure the league or something. I think if they lose the rest of the games this season, they still win the league, right? Because what is it? 17 is done. In terms of relegation, Sampdoria, Cremonese, they're gone. And it's Verona, Spezia. And Lecce's form has been so bad that they've been dragged into the relegation battle. I think what I've seen a little bit from Empoli and read about them, they should be okay. So we'll see what happens. It's been an interesting season though in the Serie A, except for the fact that obviously he's run away with it in terms of the league title. In terms of goals, there's nothing really. It's still Osimhen. So it's the Serie A is the Serie A, right? Most people haven't really cared much about it. Same as the next league, which I'm going to mention, which is Ligue 1. There was a little bit of controversy in terms of, are PSG going to do it? Or is there a little bit of stutter there? But they've ended up walking it, and it's an 8-point gap. Marseille have been in good form, and I think they're undefeated in like a long stretch right now. Let me check. Well, they lost in the Cup, but disregarding the Cup, they haven't lost all of March. and their last loss was to PSG, which is a 3-0, which basically secured the league. Yeah, and so but they do look good for top four, same as Lyon. Lyon have been a very good team. Monaco are still battling it out with Lille to an extent, but if they do win their game in hand, they should be good with 5 games remaining. You never know, though. The French league is very it's very topsy-turvy. Like you can get a team that will beat one team 3-0, and then the next day, similar to the Bundesliga, you're seeing results like where Dortmund dropping points to Bochum. It's like Dortmund were top of the league. They have a chance to close out the league title, finally break the Bayern Munich streak. And well, I'm talking about Dortmund now, and then they draw with Bochum, right? And we'll see now what happens with Bayern and Hertha. That's going to be very interesting. It would be crazy if both of the title race teams lose to the bottom of the league. But other than that, in the French league, Angers, Ajaccio is still in with a battle with Troyes to try and get that playoff spot there. But other than that, I don't see any other movement in the bottom half. I guess Nantes and Strasbourg. Nantes is crazy downfall compared to last year. Last year they had a decent season. This year it's just been absolutely downhill for them. Very surprising. I guess they have lost a couple key men, but not enough to make that much of a difference. But that's the French league. It's always exciting. Nice as well have dropped off this season. Lyon, of course, dropped off. We'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting, though. And La Liga is also a done title race. Both Barcelona and Madrid have been terrible this year in terms of being real league winners and how we're used to seeing these vintage Barcelona and Madrid sides dominate the league. These teams are barely like Barça have 3 losses, 4 draws. Madrid have 6 losses this year. Atletico also have 6 losses. I mean, Atletico and Real still fighting for second. Top 4 does look solidified, though, with Sociedad having a decent gap over Villarreal. And then in terms of the relegation battle, Espanyol have a chance, but Espanyol have looked really weak this year as well. They've conceded a lot of goals. They've conceded second most in the league. Yeah, second most in the league. Elche obviously are gone. And then Getafe, Cadiz, and Almeria. I'd say Valencia as well in that relegation battle. That's more of the interesting thing. You see that it's like shaping up in most of the leagues now because the league winners have been just enough, consistent enough. I don't think there's been any great league winners this year. I think Napoli could make that argument, but they've really tailed off after the January-February period. Barcelona, after the Clásico, it's completely tapered off. They can't score goals, and they're losing games now. In terms of Madrid have been terrible. I know they're not league winners. PSG have been inconsistent all season. Bayern and Dortmund have picked up the form to catch up to Bayern, but that's due to Bayern's failings, not just Dortmund's how they've been succeeding. And also Dortmund dropping points to Stuttgart, dropping points to Bochum. It's not good results, and they got destroyed by Bayern. It's not great results. And then the Premier League, let's get to that, actually. Let's get to that. Because I feel like I've touched enough about the Bundesliga, and I don't know how many people care. Let me know if you want me to talk more about Bundesliga, because since the Premier League has kind of been getting more obvious now, I've kind of been watching a lot more Bundesliga. Like today I was watching Union Berlin, Leverkusen. I've been watching a lot of Leverkusen, actually. Watching a lot of Dortmund. And I would love to make some videos about the Bundesliga as well. Expand out. I feel like that's probably my second favorite league to watch, would be the Bundesliga. La Liga is a little bit too slow. There's not enough goals this year. It's too slow. Serie A is also very, very slow. I'm not saying I don't enjoy that style of football, but I think it's not due to the pace of La Liga is more down to tactically how they're implementing it. Serie A is just a little bit of lack of quality there, right? So I'm not saying tactically they're bad. I'm not saying it's not fun to watch, but the level is really low. And that's why someone like Rafael Leao, I want Kvaratskhelia, Osimhen, I want to see them move out. Don't stay in that league. I want to see Kim Min-jae. How good is he on the ball when you're taking him outside into faster-paced leagues, more higher intensity pressing structures? It'll be very interesting. In terms of the Premier League, Arsenal bottled it, huh? Arsenal bottled it. I didn't expect it. If you see my prediction video, actually, let me go find my list of predictions right here. I'll see how it's shaping up right now. So if I go from bottom, so I had Southampton finishing bottom. They are still bottom right now with 5 games left. I'm looking pretty good for that one. Now, rounding off the bottom two is Everton and Leicester, and then Forest and Leeds. I had Bournemouth, Leeds, Nottingham, and Wolves. Oh, I missed on that one. I know exactly where. There's two or three teams I know I've missed on badly, and this is one of them is the Leicester team. The Leicester team still being that far down, considering they've scored 44 goals this season. That puts them at, that's almost as many as Villa, almost as many as United. It's just the fact that they concede so many goals. They've conceded the third most in the league. And that's behind Bournemouth and Forest, who concede goals for fun. Just Leicester's defense has been way too leaky. We knew that was going to be a problem. That's why I don't think I made the Leicester video yet. I don't think I made the Leicester 3 key men. Let me double check on that. No, I didn't. I haven't made the Leicester 3 key men, which does explain it, to be honest. That, yeah, I haven't made it because honestly I was looking for center backs to recommend for them, because I knew they needed something there, because they were just not looking like they were going to be in a spot to be able to stay in the league. Leeds still look in trouble. Leeds could still go down. They could be one of the teams that are going to be struggling for the rest of the season. They concede way too many goals. They're one of the teams that have conceded more than Leicester as well. Damn, I didn't even see that. They've tied most goals conceded, but again, they do score goals, and that's what could save them. I thought sacking Jesse Marsch was a big mistake. I don't think he should have done it. I think they should have stuck with the team. There was an idea formed there. It wasn't working yet, but the idea was there, and he knew the players. I just feel like this constant change of managers in a relegation battle, I don't think is ideal, especially when it's a young manager that has ideas, that has found success in other leagues. Give him a chance to turn it around, especially with these kind of players, because a lot of time it was lack of player quality, unlucky moments, and it's not that they weren't able, they were implementing his philosophy. It's just it wasn't 100% manager to player implementation, and that's where it needed time. I felt we'll see what Leeds are able to do, but they are in trouble. Forest just lost in the last minute to Brentford, very unlucky. I thought it was offside, it looked offside, but I guess the lines don't lie today. And then I had Wolves finishing 16th, which I don't feel like is a bad statement. Wolves have gone on a surprising run. I think they've won 8 out of 18 or something like that with Lopetegui, which is a great run for them, especially at the level they're at. But they just conceded 6 to Brighton. That's the kind of Wolves I was seeing. A team that can't score goals, and they are liable in defense. They can ship goals. Yeah, they have a minus 21 goal difference. I just didn't see Wolves doing this well. Bournemouth have they keep fighting and digging out these results. I love the fact that Bournemouth are not, well, they could still get relegated on 36 points. Forest are on 30 though with 34 games played. 6-point gap with a game in hand, 4 games remaining. They should be fine. Realistically, this season it looks like 35 points, 36 points is good for safety. Because I don't see Everton in those 5 games getting any more than 7 points. 2 wins and a draw, if they're lucky. Let me see Everton's schedule. So they play Leicester, that's the game for the relegation battle. Then they play Brighton away. Then they play Man City. And then they play Wolves and Bournemouth. Wow. They need 9 points. They need the 9 points there. They need to beat all 3 of those teams to stay up. One of the ever-presents. We want to keep them in the league, right? And then in terms of Leicester's schedule, they have obviously the Everton game. They have Fulham. They have Liverpool, but at home. And Liverpool, I don't know how much Liverpool have to fight for. And then they have Newcastle away and West Ham at home. The West Ham at home will be crazy at the end of the season. That could be saving them. That could be relegating West Ham. It could be a relegation battle there. Because West Ham today looked horrendous against Crystal Palace. The scoreline flatters them. 4-3 flatters them. Because they were terrible. They all 3 goals were set pieces, which is very impressive, first of all. It shows that they're working on something on the training ground, even though they haven't even been that impressive at set pieces this season, but they do have the size. Tom Shusek had one of the worst performances ever. Was horrible on the ball, did absolutely nothing, couldn't get on the ball, couldn't dictate anything, but was the most effective thing you could ever find on a set piece. They play, oh my God, West Ham play City away, then they play United at home, then they have the Europa Conference League, which is just going to complicate things. Then they have Brentford away, and then it's Leeds and Leicester. They might be in a relegation, like fighting for their lives here. The Leicester West Ham game might be the deciding fixture here. Oh, that's going to be exciting. It's such a shame that the last day of the season, I know why they do it, but it's such a shame the last day of the season is always at the same time, the games, because there's so many you want to watch at the same time. In terms of Bournemouth, I did predict them lower, and then here's the real surprise. Chelsea are 12th. I didn't expect it to continue. They spent too much money for them not to move up the table. It's just crazy. And rolling on Potter, why? Just wait out till summer. You're bringing in a guy who's been one of the biggest failures in Premier League history. Frank Lampard is a horrendous coach. And you brought him back, and now he hasn't won a game. Well, he hasn't even drawn a game. He hasn't gotten a point. It's really not a good look for Chelsea, and I'm not saying they're going to get relegated. They're on 39 points. It's more than fine. But they're not finishing top half. They're not getting above Fulham. They have the same amount of games played as Fulham, and they're 6 points behind. I don't see Chelsea making it up, especially with the fixture run. They have United to play. They have Arsenal to play. They have Bournemouth. They have Forest, who are going to be fighting for their lives. And then they have City and Newcastle. Yeah. Honestly, if they were on 35 points right now, they get relegated. Or at least they battle for it. Genuinely. That's how bad they've been. Crystal Palace, I think that's exactly where I predicted them, isn't it? I predicted Palace 14th. Yeah, I expected West Ham to rise up. I thought they would have enough in quality in terms of, one, they'd remember how to play football. I thought they would get rid of David Moyes by now. And 3, I thought Declan Rice would be a big enough impact, as well as the fact that I do believe they have enough defenders to be able to not be as low in the league as they are. And I also expected Bowen to pick up some form, which hasn't really come. It just hasn't come. Him, Benrahma, Fornals, Paqueta, just none of them finding that form. Skamaka it didn't fit in. It's big money signings, big players there that just haven't been able to get it going all season for West Ham. And I thought that would mean that Moyes is gone. Fulham, I think, as I mentioned in the video, they're 10th. That's where I put them. I knew they were going to fall off. Yes, they've been, they're not unlucky that Mitrovic is gone, but Mitrovic is gone. Therefore, they were obviously going to struggle in terms of goals, but you saw drying up the goals for Mitrovic. He probably only would have 1 or 2 anyway if he's played in those games. And they just haven't been the same team, and I expected that. Their style of football was way too vertical all the time with no other style of football. And once teams figure that out, I think they're going to be a team that if they don't adjust in the summer, they have a good coach. Mark Silva's a good coach. But they need to adjust that style. They need to have another dimension to their game. If not, I think they could be one of the teams that surprisingly gets in trouble in the next season. You've seen it with teams like Sheffield as well recently. They had a style of play. It worked in the first season. But then you see it tailor off very quickly. Brentford in 9th. I think I had them in 9th. Yeah, I have Brentford in 9th. It's expected. They're gonna struggle in some of the tougher games. They're not gonna be as consistent. They don't have a style of football that they can impose themselves on some of the teams around them and in the lower down the table. They're gonna surprise some of the bigger teams because the way they defend the box so diligently, the way they cover the space, the way they block shots, and the way they counter very effectively. And obviously, they have the 3rd top scorer in the league in Ivan Toney. So I think he is on 20 now. I think he scored today, so they're on 20. And that's a big testament to him. Brighton are in 8th right now. Liverpool in 7th and Aston Villa in 6th. Aston Villa, surprise package. I would not have expected this in a million years. I just didn't think they'd find the goals, but Watkins has ended up proving me completely wrong. I need to remake that video. Watkins is not a flop. Watkins is actually a baller. My problem with him was he does everything else right, and I mentioned that in the video, but he's just not finishing. And now he's just getting everything to roll for him. And that's what you need as a striker, realistically. You get it rolling and then everything just starts coming. I think Liverpool have been way too inconsistent. They could still finish in 5th, get that Europa League spot because they do have a game in hand which would put them in 5th. But again, their inconsistency has just been so troubling. They play Tottenham, which is going to be a big game to decide that 5th spot. They still have Brentford, they have Leicester who are going to be fighting. Villa is going to be a big game actually for that fifth spot. And then they have Southampton who probably will be relegated, confirmed at that point, meaning another easy game. Liverpool should be fifth, which... No, I predicted Liverpool seventh. Predicted Brighton sixth and Tottenham fifth. I thought Tottenham had a big enough gap on Liverpool. Tottenham have just been horrendous, so inconsistent. I say that, I know they drew with us at the weekend in a very, very depressing fashion. Liverpool, they will finish fifth, and I think Tottenham will be the team to drop down to finish seventh. Brighton, I still think, get that sixth spot that I've been predicting. I just think they've been the most consistent. They've been the most impressive. They have the games in hand to make up the points on the other two teams. So we'll see what happens. I think Newcastle and United are going to be battling it out for the third spot, but I think both teams are going to make the top four. I don't want to make this video too long. I can make another video more comprehensive maybe about each team. And then you have the City Arsenal. I got it wrong. I got the title race wrong. I did not expect Arsenal to draw 3 games in a row and then lose to City. Get demolished by City. I had a little bit of hope. I reserved a little bit of hope that they can maybe do something. But Guardiola is a genius. A masterclass. He adjusted. And he has a huge talent gap. De Bruyne and Haaland show. You can't compete when you have Holding and Gabriel. I also didn't expect Saliba to be out for this entire period of time as well. It's really hurt them in many ways. I'll talk more about that in another video. But this is a touch on like all the different leagues. I thought about doing the Europa League and the Champions League. I know I mentioned in the video, but I think I'll leave that for a separate video. The knockout competitions, the European trophies, and what's going to happen with those. My predictions for the end of that, semis and onwards. And yeah, I just want to say, I hope I can make these videos again. Please let me know, comment, like, give me your feedback. Tell me what you want changed in the video. What are the differences maybe that can make them more appealing? Help me out. Let me know what you would advise me to do to reach out to a bigger audience. All feedback is welcome. And welcome back to The Casual Fanatic. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.